Okay, thank you to Nayeon and Group B of third year student. Next, we will then move on to the presentation of Group A of the fourth year student. Karin Nagano, fourth year student of Holy Good Seminar, please begin.
Thank you, Mick. Let's start the presentation.
We are fourth grade students from the Horiguchi Seminar. We mainly analyze and discuss the law matters between minors and adults, especially the grooming. The reason why we choose this topic is that we learned from the congressman in the discussion about raising the age of sexual consent. He said, "I think it's weird that if I was 50 years old and had intercourse with 14-year-old kids, I would have been arrested even with consent. Therefore, we feel necessary to reconsider the protection of minors over 13 years. Nowadays, in Japan, as a matter of fact, the legal age of sexual intercourse and sexual consent are both 13. Therefore, a person is guilty if the individual wants to or has already committed sexual intercourse with a child under 13, even if permission is given by the child. However, when the victim is over 13 years old, they have to claim their vulnerability. They need to prove that they cannot resist the potential violence and threats, or they cannot convict any proof to the police. We assume this is unreasonable and unethical.
In Japan, minors over the age of 13 are also protected by the Youth Sound Upbringing Ordinance. But this has major flaws. Here, we will look at an actual court case in Saitama Prefecture. A teacher at a junior high school in Saitama Prefecture missed by the Prefectural Board of Education for dating and kissing a 15-year-old girl. And the teacher sued the board to have the disciplinary dismissal rescinded.
In Japan, minors over the age of 13 are also protected by the Youth Sound Development Ordinance, but this has a major flaw. Here, let's take a look at the actual Saitama Prefecture trial. A teacher at a municipal junior high school in Saitama Prefecture was dismissed by the Prefectural Board of Education for dating and kissing a 15-year-old girl. This is a lawsuit against the Board of Education. In this trial, the female student strongly desired a relationship, and they were seriously dating with their eyes on the future. And two, there was no sexual act beyond kissing and hugging, and the degree of obscenity was not included. The disciplinary dismissal was rescinded on the grounds it was wrong, and that the female student did not suffer physical or mental injuries that would hinder her healthy development based on 3, 1 and 2. Article 19 of the Saitama Prefecture Ordinance for the healthy development of youth stipulates that no one shall engage in obscene sexual or obscene acts with juveniles. You shall not teach or show sexual intercourse.
Here is detailed explanation of what grooming is. Grooming, meaning taming, is act of adults gaining access to and trust in children and controlling the relationship by, for example, exploiting their feelings of guilt, isolation, and shame. They establish a trusting relationship with the child themselves or their family over a long period of time with the aim of sexually exploiting and perpetuating the relationship. In some cases where a child consents or even the child's parents admit to being in a serious relationship, this is the result of clever grooming by the perpetrator and is not really consent. This is followed by examples and features of grooming. Grooming perpetrators can vary from a teacher of a lesson, such as the one in the previous section on paperwork, to an online chat partner. They build trust through seemingly kind acts, such as offering advice or buying something they want, or through kind words such as, "I understand you," or "You are special." The relationship is then gradually deepened, leading the victim to believe that they are mature enough to have a romantic relationship with an adult on an equal footing, leading to the assault. Furthermore, despite the fact that this is sexual exploitation that takes advantage of the minor's immaturity and hurt feelings due to difficulties with parents and friends, perpetrators often have distorted perceptions, such as, "The victim wanted it too," "She liked me," and are unaware of their own culpability. In recent years, the sexual exploitation of children through online grooming, particularly on social networking sites, has become an issue. The tactics are much the same as real-life grooming, but the damage is often more serious on social networking sites, where it is harder for adults to see, and sexual photos and videos are sent and remain online. Now, here is an animation we have produced depicting grooming on social networking sites.
Online grooming in social media.
My name is Toshiko Minari. I'm 15 years old junior high school student. To take a break from studying for the entrance exam, I decided to try to make friends with Twitter-kun. Can I make friends with this? I got a lot of DMs.
I like music. I like you too. Let's talk.
Let's talk. How old are you?
I'm 25 years old.
I'm 15. Is that okay?
I don't mind at all.
It was good.
The other day, Toshiko felt fruitful after quarreling with her parents about the exam.
Hey, listen to me.
What happened?
I got into a fight with my parents about taking exams.
That was tough. You have done your best.
Toshiko gradually trusts the man who always listens to her stress of the exam and her grumbling about her parents day by day.
I'll teach you how to relieve stress.
Huh? What is it?
Doing this will make you feel better.
Thus, there is a risk of being sent or made to send obscene videos in sexual assault on social networking sites.
To investigate the sexual exploitation of children on social media, a documentary film put on the net was made in the Czech Republic. In this film, adult female actors were recruited, who appeared to be children and were asked to pretend to be 12-year-olds on social networking sites for 10 days. During the 10 days, 2,458 men contacted them. Some of whom showed masturbation during the video calls. This situation is not limited to the Czech Republic. In Japan, when NHK and NPO collaborated on a similar survey, nearly 200 men sent messages for sexual contact to a Twitter account set up as a 14-year-old junior high school student. Our animation was also based on this case. Actually, in South Korea, a large-scale digital sex crime called the Anthron case occurred in 1218 to 1212. In this case, most of the victims were minors, and grooming was said to be behind the image. First, they were made to send sexual photos, which was then used to make further sexual demands. The women were then called slaves, and a number of chat rooms called blah blah rooms were created on a chat application called Telegram, where sexual photos, videos, and videos of women being assaulted were published. The incident resulted in 3,757 arrests and a total of 260,000 viewers.
Next, let's look at trends in the age of consent in Japan. In February of this year, the Law Council, which considers revising sexual crime regulations, compiled a draft outline for revisions to the Penal Code and other laws. Specifically, it proposed raising the age of consent from the current 13 years to 16 years, and in the case of 13 years to 15 years, punishing opponents whose age difference is more than 5 years to prevent sexual acts by law between 15 years from being charged with crime. In addition to this, it is proposed to establish a new crime corresponding to grooming, extend the statute of limitations for crimes such as forced sexual intercourse, and add the period until the age of 18 to the statute of limitations if the victim is under the age of 18. It was done. In particular, as for the extension of the statute of limitations for crimes such as forced sexual intercourse, it can be said that it is based on the characteristic of sexual crimes that it is difficult to report damage due to psychological shock. The Ministry of Justice is aiming to submit a bill to the current Diet session. In recent years, there has been no end to the sexual exploitation of minors via social media and the internet. Online grooming exploits the immaturity of teenage children who use SNS and the internet in search of connection and skillfully pretends to be sincere love. In this way, it can be said that how to prevent grooming behavior, which is the gateway to sexual abuse, and how to protect minors is a future issue. However, sex education in Japan is immature, and it is difficult to say that by the age of 13, children have acquired accurate knowledge enough to make correct judgment about sex or recognize sexual abuse. Therefore, I think it is necessary to improve sex education so that minors can protect themselves. Up to this point, I have explained the love and sexual acts of minors and adults using actual examples and animation. Based on these, we believe that consent and serious relationship between minors and adults cannot be established. This is because we believe that power relation between minors and adults are inevitable, and that it is difficult to build equal relationships in the first place. If you are really in love, there shouldn't be any need for dating or sexual contact. We think that you should wait until the other person is old enough to make proper decisions and take responsibilities for themselves, and then start dating after you are able to have an equal relationship between adults. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention.